the fact is that the President of the United States, the former president, and his toadies do not want to...
Toadies? The band? Oh, you mean toadies, like the English saying where it's people who ultimately follow celebrity or politicians with the utmost devotion, almost like demagoguery is what you're trying to... Oh, she must have learned a new word between sloshing martinis in the wee hours of the morning. She seems like she's had a wee too many martinis thus far.
Face the facts. They're trying to do revisionist history on January 6th.
Kind of like y'all did with the KKK and Japanese internment camps, Tuskegee experiments, modern-day slave plantations, Jim Crow laws, voter suppression, eugenics, the Great Society, whatever.
But we cannot let us be dragged into their, again, false impression of what happened that day. They know what happened.
We do know what happened, and you're about to see it on this video where Nancy Pelosi admits that she's responsible for a very large portion. Stick around, 15 seconds.
That day.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends.
That is Still Point. STIILPOINT, the Don't Unfriend Me band. My name is Matthew Spear. I'm the host of Don't Unfriend Me. Nancy Pelosi. Oh, is she in some hot water? There's a video. Her daughter documentary was taking place, who filmed the entire exfil from J6 as she left her secure confined quarters in the hallway where they shot Ashley Babbitt. And Nancy Pelosi fled and seemed very upset. In this video, listen to this. This is, yeah.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
That's a great question.
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they have. They don't know.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Wow. That kind of changes the narrative, huh? I mean, it's kind of a revelation that former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, admitted to everyone for failing to have the National Guard ready for the January 6th Capitol riot. It underscores the vast fabrications and political maneuvers that have plagued the American political landscape. The left's narrative around January 6th is just one of many deceptive tales spun to undermine Donald Trump and his supporters. From the Russian P tapes to the Hunter Biden laptop, the left has woven a web of lies that demands scrutiny and accountability. We're going to do it tonight. The Steele dossier, which contained the infamous and salacious claims about Donald Trump, including the alleged P tapes, has been widely discredited. Funded by the DNC and the Clinton campaign, the dossier was a key piece of evidence used to justify FISA warrants against Trump and his associates. The wiretaps and surveillance on the Trump campaign were based on this unverified and dubious information, revealing a shocking abuse of power and a willingness to believe and propagate falsehoods to damage a political opponent. Trump's presidency was marred by 2 impeachment trials, both of which were characterized by partisan fervor rather than solid evidence of wrongdoing. The first impeachment, revolving around a phone call with Vladimir Zelensky, was based on a dubious whistleblower complaint and resulted in acquittal. The second impeachment, followed the January 6th riot, was rushed through the House without a thorough investigation, again ending in acquittal. These impeachments were not about justice, but about political retribution. The Obama administration's decision to spy on the Trump campaign through FISA warrants obtained using the discredited Steele dossier represents one of the most egregious political scandals in recent history that nobody cared about, well, except for the people who voted for Trump. This surveillance was an attempt to undermine Trump before he even took office, showing the lengths to which the left would go to prevent his presidency. The fact that these actions were based on false information further underscores the deceptive nature of the left's tactics. The 2016 presidential debates were marred by allegations that questions were leaked to Hillary Clinton's campaign. Donna Brazile, then CNN contributor, admitted to providing debate questions to the Clinton campaign in advance, but not to Trump, of course. This unethical behavior aimed to give Clinton an unfair advantage, yet another example of the lengths to which the left would go to secure power. Do we have a theme reoccurring here? When Trump referred to COVID-19 as the China virus, he was widely criticized and accused of racism. However, it is now broadly accepted that the virus originated in Wuhan, China. The left's initial denial of this possibility and their attacks on Trump for stating a plausible origin were part of a broader strategy to politicize the pandemic and paint Trump as xenophobic, rather than focusing on the real issue, holding China accountable for its role in the global spread of the virus. The story of Hunter Biden's laptop, which contained potentially incriminating evidence, about his business dealings and personal conduct, was initially dismissed by major media outlets and social media platforms as Russian disinformation. Over 50 former Intel officials signed a letter falsely claiming the laptop was part of a Russian disinformation campaign. However, subsequent investigations have confirmed the authenticity of the laptop and its contents. That's why he's in trial right now in Delaware. The suppression of this story during the 2020 election cycle was a clear attempt to protect Joe Biden's candidacy and influence the outcome of the election. I wonder if he'll ever stand trial. One of the more alarming revelations of betrayal within Trump's administration was that of General Mark Milley. Reports surfaced that Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, had engaged in secret communique with Chinese officials, allegedly assuring them he would warn them in advance of any potential military action by Trump. Such actions, if true, represent a severe breach of trust and undermine the authority of the elected president, highlighting a dangerous double standard where actions by those opposed to Trump are excused or overlooked. That sounds like seditious conspiracy. That sounds like treason. I guess it's not. The media and the left have continuously attacked Trump for alleged quid pro quo dealings, particularly during his first impeachment. However, Joe Biden's own actions in Ukraine provided a stark contrast. Biden publicly boasted about pressuring Ukraine to fire a prosecutor investigating Burisma for over $1 billion, where his son Hunter was employed. This blatant use of political influence to protect his son has been largely ignored by the mainstream media, demonstrating a glaring double standard once again. Don't even talk to me about the Afghanistan president, where he said he's going to go ahead and pull air support and intelligence if they didn't put Taliban in charge of security for the Bagram Air Base exfil and the Kabul airport exfil. Give me a break. The ongoing legal battles facing Trump, many of which are seen as politically motivated, have significantly hindered his ability to campaign. These trials are a continuation of the relentless attacks that began with baseless Russian collusion narratives. Despite exhaustive investigations, including the Mueller report, finding no collusion between Trump and Russia, the left has persisted in using these unfounded allegations to tarnish Trump's reputation and distract from their own failures and corruption. Still waiting for Adam Schiff's evidence that he has against Trump, the big lie that he told. The left has consistently portrayed January 6th as an insurrection incited solely by Donald Trump. Even though no insurrection charges have been brought up, it ignores the complexities and failures that led to the breach of the Capitol. This newly surfaced video of Pelosi admitting responsibility for not having the National Guard prepared directly contradicts the narrative pushed by the Democrat-led January 6th committee. Pelosi's frustration and acknowledgement in the video, quote, why weren't the National Guard there to begin with? And her admission, I take responsibility for not having them just prepared for more, reveal a significant failure in her duties as Speaker of the House, something Trump's been saying for quite a long time. Pelosi's admission is a bombshell that undermines the left's narrative that Trump alone was responsible for the security failures on January 6th. The video, shot by Pelosi's daughter, shows the former speaker expressing disbelief and frustration over the lack of preparedness, questioning why Capitol Police had not appropriately planned for the large protest, as you saw. The footage, coupled with former Trump advisor Kash Patel's testimony that Trump had authorized the deployment of the National Guard days before the riot, paints a starkly different picture than the one presented by the January 6th committee. Now, Patel has consistently stated that Trump authorized the Guard's deployment and that Pelosi and D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser were informed but denied the offer for an armed National Guard presence. Patel's assertion, supported by the newly unearthed video of Pelosi, highlights a deliberate attempt to obfuscate the truth and place the blame squarely on Trump. Now, as there is always some sort of truth in a lie, we must understand that a president cannot simply verbally request the National Guard. A written request must be issued, and the formal process involves coordination with the D.C. mayor and the Department of Defense. This ensures proper chain of command and logistical planning. However, everyone's going to talk about the letter that they saw that isn't a formal request. It was an inquisition. On January 3rd, 2021, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows sent a letter to D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser asking if additional National Guard support was needed for the anticipated protests. Despite this informal inquisition, both the Capitol Police and Mayor Bowser denied the need for an armed National Guard presence, contributing to the lack of preparedness that became evident on January 6th. Although this was not a formal request, it raises the critical question of why the issue wasn't pursued further. Pelosi's recent admission only amplifies the importance of this oversight. There's always truth in fiction, folks, and there's always a lot of fiction in truth, especially when it comes to politics. The left's continuous stream of lies and deceit, from the Russian collusion narrative to January 6th riot, reveals a pattern of dishonesty aimed at manipulating public opinion and undermining their political opponents. Nancy Pelosi's admission should serve as a wake-up call, and it's imperative that we hold those in power accountable for their actions and ensure that the truth prevails over political expediency. The American public deserves transparency and honesty from their elected representatives, not leaders, representatives. The repeated fabrication and falsehoods propagated by the left only undermine trust in our institutions, and they also threaten the very foundation of our republic, not our democracy. As we move forward, it is crucial to demand accountability and ensure that such egregious abuses of power are not allowed to continue unchecked. The truth must be upheld, and those who have perpetuated these lies must be held responsible. January 6th was the event the Democrats needed to sell their lie to America. If Trump is truly akin to Hitler, what would the left not do to stop him? If you could go back and stop Hitler before his rise to power, wouldn't you? This is the left's delusional thinking. They believe they are on a crusade to stop Trump at all costs, and in doing so, they may destroy our republic. This is why we don't want a democracy where mob rule prevails over the rule of law. This situation is reminiscent of Caesar and the dagger thrust behind curtains and within the shadows. The American people must remain vigilant and demand the truth to preserve the integrity of our nation. It is that important. Folks, thanks for listening to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. If you would like to go ahead and follow, share, and all that type of stuff, you can do that at thedumshow.com. You can also join us weeknights at 7 p.m. at The Dumb Show across all social media. Stop by Wimkin to follow us on social media, WIMKIN, and also watch us on Spreely.tv. You can watch us on Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick, everything else over the top. We would love to see you. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree, just don't unfriend me.